Okay, we're here.
Nice. Well, hello. Thanks for just joining me and giving me a little bit of your time to just get to know you a little bit more.
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely. So, just a brief introduction of just kind of who you are and what kind of content you like to share and just what value you like to bring for people.
My name is Jazmyne Boatman. I am a certified life coach professional, and I created All Things Coaching at allthingscoaching.co. And basically, it's a social emotional intelligence coaching program that teaches people how to break down so they can build up. And what I mean by that is unlearning the past, the ways of the past, and learning a new way on how to adapt in life with proper emotional hygiene. And I pretty much got started with that, wanting to teach youth and adults how to navigate, because emotional intelligence is something that's not talked about, and it's definitely a part of daily life. Overall, with youth, school teaches you two emotions, and it's to be quiet in the classroom and get loud at the game. There's nothing in
Hmm.
the middle. There's just one or the other. And so when you think about that, yes, teachers aren't psychologists or counselors, but students spend most of their days with these people every day with their teachers. And yes, it's 20, 30 people in the classroom. You can't reach everyone, but at the end of the day, the emotional intelligence needs to be there so that they can have self-awareness and know how to, work around their peers to navigate better.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in a classroom setting, like as a teacher, trying to navigate all of these like 20 like kids' emotions and then like handle your own at the same time, like without the understanding of some sort of emotional intelligence in that social setting, I feel like it's just chaos. So I definitely just love what you're doing and the audience that you're trying to reach. And then you also mentioned like the term emotional hygiene, and I love that because we usually think about just cleansing our bodies, eating healthy, but like when do we take the time to actually like cleanse our emotions and to like hydrate our emotions by like learning? So I love that phrase.
Nice, thank you.
Absolutely. So I know when we talked earlier, you said that you kind of take a sports-minded approach to this, which I really, really loved. And you kind of mentioned it as well, quiet in the classroom, loud in the game. So just explain to me a little bit more about how sports has impacted the way that you've gone about learning about this.
Sports has impacted it, and dance also. I think any time in my life when I played sports, I did swim, I did volleyball, I did dance, any sports across the line, they always start with conditioning. And so that's breaking down the body, breaking down the old habits, you having to run, sweat it out, you out of shape. It's the worst week for everyone.
Yes.
No one's looking forward to conditioning, and that is where they start. You don't just start this day and then go to the game the next day. You have to start with conditioning. Excuse me. You have to start with conditioning. And then after conditioning, practice is implemented. So now you're learning the plays, your coach is telling you everything to do. And then game day is when you execute everything you learn from conditioning, practice. And now it's game day to show everybody what you've worked on. And so that's how I created the CPG model. And pretty much it's conditioning, practice, and game day. And within that model, it's parallel to sports, because this is, however you look at it, this is the same baseline whenever you start sports: conditioning, practice, game day. So what I created with conditioning is unlearning what you have learned in the past, what society has told you, things that are not emotionally healthy. So we're unlearning negative talk, doubt, everything in that conditioning phase. So we're breaking ourselves down. In practice is implementing new ways to adapt, how to shape your mind, how to be self-aware, how to be aware of your emotions and others around you, and giving others grace around you and grace for yourself to transition. And then lastly, with the game day, is taking all the tools that you learned in conditioning and practice and then showing it to the world, because ultimately as a coach, they're there to prepare you to be the best version of yourself, but they're not going to play the game for you. You have to want to go through all the phases yourself. And so that's how I created that.
Very cool. I know I grew up playing sports, and right now one of my jobs is I'm a gymnastics coach. And so kind of being on that flip side of like having to like figure out these like little children and like how to help navigate them through like that conditioning and then the practice and then like when they're actually there like competing. I've definitely noticed the exact same thing that you're talking about, and I love that mindset that you're going into it, because I just relate so much with that. So thank you.
Yes, and then you're doing the same thing, I'm sure, every day.
Yes.
Start with your class. Right. And it's just the little
Absolutely.
stages. I'm sure you're happy at the end when you see that someone has it. You're just like, yes, they got it. Yeah,
Yes.
the same thing with the emotional hygiene.
Absolutely. And then like as their coach, I try to be just so conscientious of like how I'm talking to them and what I'm teaching them. Like my gym, we try to focus on like not telling them to like suck in their belly. It's tightening your core, these like little things that can have these huge impacts on them in the long run. So like definitely that emotional hygiene that you're talking about is something that my gym also is aware of, which is why I love working with them so much.
Nice. That is so cool. What age group?
They're about 4 to 14 years old. And so like the really, really cute stage to like the bigger cute stage with a lot of sass.
Okay. Very wide, very wide.
So lots of patience is what I'm learning, and just like figuring out how to like navigate all of their emotions while like still getting them to like show up and like be there in practice.
Yes. That's good.
Absolutely. And then I know when we were talking earlier, one of the things that you had mentioned was just like, how do we like navigate something that's like not known or like not even talked about in the terms of like social emotional intelligence? So especially just like talking to youth who have like never even heard this term before, how do you go about even just like teaching them the basics of what social emotional intelligence is?
So how I start off is teaching them two things that is more relatable that they can understand. And so what I start off with is fight or flight. And so I have two stories that I share. So one story is about when I went to Bali with a friend. And when we were in Bali, we were taking photographs with monkeys at the forest. And so we're not supposed to have stuff in our pocket. My friend didn't know she had something in her pocket. The monkey pulls out her sunglasses. And her main response was to pull back from him. But we're not supposed to look the monkey in the eye. We're not supposed to be snatching anything from the monkey. I saw all the monkey's teeth, and the monkey put his fist up. And at this point, I'm scared for my life. I've never seen a monkey's teeth. So at that, I ran. I left my friend. Abort mission. So that was one thing. So basically, when I do start, I give two options. You want to hear my fear, or you want to hear my flight, or you want to hear my fight? And so most people want to go with the fight. So now I'll tell you the fight story. So I had went to a country and I wanted to get a passport stamp. And so this is my last, I'm exiting the country. So my last attempt, and the man's just like, you want a stamp? Oh, you want a souvenir? Like just start screaming at me it's 11 o'clock at night. And my first response, like at first I'm like, why is he yelling? And then I'm just like, I'm like, how about you come home with me as a souvenir? Like to defend myself at this point. So at this point is when I tell both of those stories. And then this is how we get to the emotional intelligence, is being aware of your surroundings and what responses that you choose. And this is how we get into social emotional intelligence as far as being safe, protecting yourself, defending yourself, and overall being aware of both feelings, because both stories gave me a feeling. That first story, scared for my life. The next story, embarrassed, but really ready to, flip out a little bit, because I'm just like, wow, like you're just targeting me. All I just asked for was a stamp, and you're just screaming and hollering at me. And so I start off with those stories, and then that's how we get into the emotional part of how do you handle conflict? How do you handle things when you're scared? How do you handle things when you're upset? And so I start with those stories, and that is the segue. So teaching the students is basically the same concept with the CPG model, the conditioning, practice, and game day. And each time we start with the mindset. So what do you think about yourself? We dive deep into questions that most people don't think about on a daily basis. So it's mindset shift. Are you willing to receive? Do you want to learn something new? And then we go into being one with yourself, putting yourself first, charging your batteries, which is giving yourself life source, and moving forward until you feel the best version of yourself. If you aren't there already. And so that's how I pretty much teach the youth.
Very nice. I love how you like give them this story that they can probably relate to in their own lives of like, oh, I remember when like I told off my friend whenever they were coming at me sideways, or like I remember when my friend and I got into a situation and I ran and left them behind, so that they can really relate to that and then be like, oh, like I remember when Miss Jazmyne taught us about this. Like I can remember the next time I go into this situation to like think about what I learned in that and then like choose my mindset to the way that I want to live my life.
Yes. And how I want to react to things.
Yes, absolutely. Very cool. And I love that you are so aware of just like how much your mindset really does like impact like how you react to situations, because like in one instance you're fearing for your life and you're like, peace out, bye, and so like your mindset was like, I need to survive, and then in the other story that you shared, you're like, I just want to stamp. Like, it's not even that big of a deal. And you want to like come at me like this? Like, I'm going to match that energy. There's no need for this, but like, I could be there if you want me to be there. So
right.
I love that you just bring that into like sharing these stories.
Yes. Mostly, yes. That's pretty much what I like to do is share stories to connect with people, because that's the main way, is connecting with the heart and connecting with the brain. That's how you get people to interact and have a thought. Like when people leave at the end of the day, you want them to put something in their back pocket. And even now, people come to me and tell me things I said to them years ago. I don't even remember, but it's like people really never forget what you said. And so you have to be mindful of the language that you use and how you speak to people.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you never know what people are going to remember or what they're going to keep with them for the rest of their lives. So just making sure you provide the best value that you know how in the beginning.
Yes.
Definitely. So when you're thinking about just like your entire life and the journey that you've been on, this like crazy fun, just adventure that you've taken, and you're thinking about it like if your life is a movie, right? If you had to categorize just this journey so far and just like the genre of film that it would be, what do you think that genre would be?
I couldn't categorize as a genre. It's such a mix of so many different things. 1 minute I'm extrovert, 1 minute I'm introvert. What I will say is, to categorize my journey, I would say the movie Pursuit of Happiness.
Pursuit of Happiness? I love that movie.
Fighting, just to get there. And that's pretty much what I've done. And now I'm no longer fighting. At this point, I'm just living in bliss and taking the time to do the work on myself, to unlearn all these things. Everything that I'm positioned and created to teach other people is stuff that I had to learn about myself. And learning those things about myself, I want to share with everyone. I want everyone to be happy. Yes, we're not going to be happy all the time. That's not realistic. But I want everyone to be emotionally aware of who they are. Know that it's fine to sit with your emotions. I have this thing where if I get upset, which is rare, but if I do get upset, 5 minutes, that's it. 5 minutes is all I'm going to give it. I'm going to soak on it, simmer. After 5 minutes, we're moving on to the next thing. It took time. It took a lot of time to get to the space that I'm in, but just being able to be relaxed and not tense and not just go. Like life is meant to be lived, not watched. And I'm going to continue to advocate for that. So learning yourself along the journey is just being open-minded and knowing that everything in this life is temporary. Nothing is going to stay the same forever. Like what you're going through now is not going to be 10 years from now, 20 minutes from now. Like what you're going through is just all temporary, and it's all about perspective. Like, and so I think sometimes people, get wrapped up in social media, and we want to be somewhere else. We want to be like somebody else. We see something, oh, that's cool, I want to do that. And it's just like learning to love the life you live. Like that's the most important thing, because what you may have right now is more than somebody else. Somebody may be looking up to you. I want to be like you. You know what I mean? And it's just like perspective.
Absolutely. I know in just my own journey of life, like I was very emotionally reactive. It was taking all of my energy. When I realized I was dealing with emotions I didn't like, I was like, all right, we got to like figure out a way to distract myself from it. And then over the last few years, it's been like unlearning all of that, creating mindfulness and like peace, and then just like choosing wellness over just like that hustle mentality, and being okay with like being sad. And like it's okay to be sad, but also I'm not gonna sit here and cry about a little issue all night anymore. Like I'm gonna give myself that moment, be sad, and then I'm gonna go handle myself and drink some water, take a shower, and move on, So I relate just so hard with what you're saying, and it takes so long, and there's still some times where I realize that I'm sitting here, I'm like crying about all my issues, and I'm like, girl, what are we doing? Like we've moved past this. We don't need this anymore. Yes. And so like it's still a journey, and I'm still like figuring out ways to like get through things a little bit easier, and then like not distract myself as much. So it's definitely a lifelong journey.
It is. And I think a lot of people think it's just a destination, and it's not. It's not a destination. It's just an everyday journey. You learn so much about yourself every day. Who you are now, you'll be different 5 years from now, and another 5 years. They say every 5 years we evolve, and I definitely believe it's true. I went to a friend's wedding and went and seen my college friends, and everyone's just like, you're so different now. Like you're so lax, you're so this. And I'm talking to them, and I'm just like, I don't even remember, what they're talking about, because, it was college, it was so long ago. And so it's nice to hear good things, be complimented, but I'm just like, wow, like, you guys got a different version of me.
Yeah, so, right?
Yes.
I know, I feel it.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, then, just to, I guess, get things like wrapped up a little bit, when you're thinking about just everything that you've learned and everything that you're teaching people, if there's one thing that somebody can do today just to significantly improve their awareness of their social emotional intelligence, what do you think that would be?
That would be putting yourself first. Know that it's okay to sit with your emotions. You're human. You're supposed to feel it. It's okay if you feel it longer than you need to, because it's all about you. And just knowing that emotional hygiene is first. You can't be of service to anyone if you are not of service to yourself. And being aware on how you feel, what's going on around you, and your environment will impact your daily life.
Yeah, absolutely. And then when you talk about sitting with your emotions, because I feel like a lot of people say that, what's one way that you've learned to better sit with your emotions?
I like to write everything down that I'm feeling and give myself time to digest what's going on. And I may be a lot more advanced than most people, but the reality is a lot of things you can't change on the external. All you can do is change what's in here, and this is all you can change is right here. And what I've learned is sitting with my emotions, writing it out, writing down what I'm feeling, and finding ways to navigate out of those tough emotions while, dealing with them at the same time. So just writing it out, sitting with it, and then learning to navigate my way out of my emotions so that way I don't feel down, and that it's not a conditional, because you can go down a rabbit hole when you're sitting there thinking about your emotions. You can be, this happened, this. Like you can just keep going, and you can go forever if you let yourself. So I
Right?
think just writing down the bottom line. So not 100, just maybe two lines, two sentences on what's going on, and then dwell on it, and then navigate out.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like get it out of your system, but don't reminisce on it, and then find a solution going forward.
Yes,
Very cool.
definitely.
Well, thank you so much for just giving me some of your time and for joining me
I
and letting
appreciate
me
it.
just pick your brain a little bit. I really love everything that you're creating and teaching, and I vibe with your energy a lot. Absolutely. And then if anybody wants to like follow your socials or maybe even like get to know you a little bit more, what's the best places to find you?
Instagram. I have that's more along the life coaching, but so I'm doing life coaching in addition to motivational speaking. So Instagram, it's at Jaye Speaks Life. So
Okay.
Jay Speaks Life on Instagram, and then my actual website is allthingscoaching.co. So not .com, .co.
Okay.
That's my
Very cool.
website. So you can contact me on either one if you are interested in my services. And yeah, I have my phone number and everything listed on the website and email.
Perfect. Well, thank you again for joining me. I hope you have just an incredible rest of your evening. If you need anything from me in the meantime, definitely feel free to reach out and hope to stay in touch.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity. Have a good day.
Definitely. You do the same. Thank you. Bye. Wasn't Jazmyne just like so incredible? I'm so glad that you guys are here on this journey with us. If you're looking for any more information about how to incorporate social emotional intelligence into your life, definitely click her Instagram. The link is in my bio. It's Jay Speaks Life. If you want a little bit more coaching help, you heard her. She's a life coach. Her website is allthingscoaching.co. And she is just such a beautiful soul and a beautiful energy. So if you're looking to have a little bit more ease in your day-to-day lives and your social interactions and just in the future plannings of it all, definitely click that link and book her as your next coach. Let me know down in the comments below what you are going to do today to boost your social emotional intelligence.